So we are live on YouTube. Councillor Lamb will be joining us shortly. He's just on his way into the meeting. So we'll start with the introductory remarks. We do have some attendees with us today. So the members of the public that are joining us through the Zoom platform will join some by computer and some by phone. And the process for public participation will be the same as if it was a regular face-to-face public council meeting. So we ask that you hold your questions until the end. And everyone is automatically muted when they join the Zoom meeting. After adjournment, we will go over the instructions as to how to ask us questions. So this is a special council meeting of the District of Sechelt. I'd like to call to order the meeting at 3:04 p.m. on Friday, May 8th. And we have an agenda in front of us. As it's a special meeting, there are no additions to this agenda. It is as presented. So I'd look for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. So we move right to item 8, bylaws, 8.1. And so I'd look for a motion to receive the report. Moved, seconded. All in favor? Thank you. And this was presented to us on Wednesday. We gave this consolidated financial plan bylaw for 2020 to 2024, 3 readings. So what I'd like to do at this point is take a motion to put this on the floor, and then we'll open up to questions and comments. So moved and seconded that council proceed with adoption of the District of Sechelt 2020 to 2024 Consolidated Financial Plan Bylaw number 590, 2020. And then comments or questions from council. Councillor McLean.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a couple things about the budget before we adopt it. So the municipal portion of our taxes is going to go up 3.8%. This is down significantly from earlier in the year when we were looking at increases in the range of 10%. I want to thank staff for accepting the challenge of reducing it to this point. This budget is the first budget under this council's strategic plan. I'd say it has a focus on protecting our assets and building safe spaces. I'm looking forward to the Trail Avenue project being complete, as well as breaking ground on the Shoal Way improvements and the Wharf Avenue project as well. I'm looking forward to making those streets safer for people on foot and on wheels. I'm proud that we're fixing failing infrastructure like the Wakefield and Cook Creek culverts, repairing our sewer outfall, and repairing Town Hall's building envelope and replacing the Wakefield pump station. We're also getting ahead of a poor condition runway at the airport by replacing the asphalt and then using provincial government funding to extend it. We are really beginning to address our infrastructure deficit, even though we're reducing what we contributed to it this year due to the pandemic. This council is also doing important work to understand how much repairs we'll need to do to our sewer pipes in the ground and providing adequate funding and staffing to maintain our water resource center. The increase to our sewer user fee is going to be $123 for every person that's connected to the sewer. Since the WRC was built, I'd say it's been neglected by council to a degree. We're now taking a serious look at it and recognizing that it's going to require different resources than our old system. We're also rethinking how septic handling works. Sechelt accepts pump septic tanks for the entire Sunshine Coast. It's not fair for taxpayers of Sechelt to pay for something that benefits the entire Sunshine Coast. So we're going to increase the dumping fees to cover all these costs. Cost to pump a typical septic tank will go up by $169. While we do this, we're also looking into the future costs that we're going to have to incur to receive the septage. The facility is old and it's going to need to be replaced by 2031. So we're starting to plan for that now. I'm proud of this budget because it's planning for our infrastructure of the future. We made a few sacrifices to adjust to the pandemic, but we have remained committed to a long-term focus on the future of Sechelt. I know tax time is going to be difficult for many this year, but if we don't address many of these infrastructure challenges now, there are going to be many more difficult tax times moving forward due to crumbling infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Toth.
Yeah, I don't have any particular remarks prepared. I just wanted to thank Councillor McLean for identifying the things that he has. Asset management is an issue that every municipality across this country is facing. The provincial governments are facing it. The federal governments are facing it. And we're still a long ways away from properly addressing asset management here in the district of Sechelt. We don't have any staff resources that are dedicated to that yet. That's something we're looking at down the road, hopefully next year. And I want to thank staff for doing what they've been able to do so far with the budgets that they've had available to them. I don't agree with all of the projects that are in the financial plan, but I think that overall, this is a good financial plan, and I'll be happy to support it today.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, Councillor Scott.
Yeah, it's a challenging time, and while we go through all this, all the items that come into the budget are items that truly need to be addressed. Some for safety reasons, others to make sure that it doesn't cost exponentially more down the road. So staff did do a great job pushing this through and making the cuts where needed. It takes leadership to be able to face this and understand it, but we also recognize that some will have financial hardship through this, as we all do. The septage, it's a no-brainer. You know, I see it on some of the social media, the complaints about it, but Councillor McLean hit it on the head. We can't subsidize the entire Sunshine Coast to manage that septage. And, you know, I'm a septage user. I fully agree that I need to pay my share. If I was on sewer, I'd pay significantly more money than I do now. And that's not right. So it's not on the rest of the Sechelt taxpayers to subsidize me or anybody else on this coast. And so people need to recognize that. So it's a challenging budget, but I think we did the best for what we had and what we have to go forward. So I'm looking forward to the next year and what it brings.
Thank you. Councillor Rowe, did you have any comments you wanted to make?
Oh God, I do. I fail at unmuting myself. I mirror what pretty much everybody is saying. Thanks to all the work that staff has done. I think this budget, although it's not, I don't know that there'll ever be a budget that any of us are 100% happy with, but I think staff have done a great job. It's a blend of sort of taking care of the business we need to take care of before it costs twice as much money as what it's going to cost us to take care of. You know, I think it's providing some equity around the septage issue, and it's doing the best we can to save taxpayers money now and in the future by taking care of proactively some issues. So thanks to staff, and I think, you know, in my world, we don't know a lot of what's ahead of us, and I think we've left some capacity for us to be able to deal with stuff that comes up in the future. So thanks very much.
All right, I think everybody's pretty much said everything. The one piece that I'd like to also mention is, and I've mentioned this before, as we've been going through the budget piece, we've been getting very clear messages from the province and the federal government that coming out the other end of this, they're going to expect that municipalities be in a position to be able to take advantage of infrastructure funding, capital infrastructure funding. And so when we looked at this budget, we, with staff, wanted to make sure that we had sufficient in there to be able to have some projects to take advantage of that. One of the comments that was made was that in 2008, when the economy took the big dive that it did, Coming out the other end of that, some projects had to be turned around in 2 weeks. So funding opened up, you had to get your project in, and the money came really quickly. So this budget actually sets us up so that we're in a position where we can actually take advantage of some of that money that we're anticipating is going to be coming out. We don't know when, because, as Councillor Rowe said, this is all uncertain, but we wanted to be in that place because it's up to us then to help bring that money into our community to help contribute to the economic recovery here. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to council for your tough questions through all of this. You challenged staff and challenged each other. So that's what it's all about. So we have a motion on the floor that council proceed with adoption of the District of Sechelt 2020-2024 Consolidated Financial Plan Bylaw number 590/2020. All those in favor? Councillor McLean, are you in favor? Sorry, but you can't hear us right now. Okay, now he's gone. All right. We'll figure out what's happening. It passed. Okay, so there's, it still passed. Okay, cool. Next item on the agenda is 2020 tax rate bylaw number 591/2020. And this was brought forward from the previous meeting. So I'm going to look for a motion to receive the report. Moved and seconded. All in favor of receipt. Thank you. And then we'll turn it over to Mr. Douglas.
Thank you, Your Worship. This report basically supports the bylaw that you just passed, which was the 5-year financial plan bylaw. It supports it in the way that these are the revenues that we need to bring in from taxation for the 2020 year. Like we've been discussing, it's a 3.8% increase. And on page 2 of the report, we just show the table with regards to where the class multiples ended, and including the tax rates, and to bring in how much revenue from each property class. So with that, we've put together our tax rate bylaw for the year, which highlights also the delay on penalties for the second penalty for class 1, 2, and 9, and also the delay on penalties for class 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Thank you.
Thank you. So councillors, any questions, first of all, on the report? No questions on the report. So there's a recommendation on page, 21. Sorry, I'm just trying to find, what page, where my page number is. There we go. Tax rate. Page 21. Recommendation that we give the District of Sechelt 2020 tax rates bylaw number 591/2020, first, second, third readings and adoption. Would someone like to do that? Moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. And then we'll go to the bylaw on page 23, item 8.2b, District of Sechelt 2020 tax rate bylaw number 591/2020. This is a bylaw for establishing tax rates for municipal, hospital, Sunshine Coast Regional District, and Sunshine Coast Regional Recreation purposes for the year 2020. And I'd look for a motion for first reading. Moved and seconded. And did anyone want to speak to this before we move first reading? Nobody's looking to speak? Okay. All those in favor? Thank you. And second reading? Moved and seconded. All in favor? Second reading? Oh, and Councillor Toth, are you opposed to this? Councillor Toth?
Sorry, no issues.
No issues? Okay, it's just a little delayed then. Okay, that's good. Third reading. Someone to move third reading. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. And adoption. Moved, seconded, all in favor of adoption? Thank you. Those are all the items on our agenda. No emergency items coming forward. I'd look for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you very much. All right, so we will stop the streaming and then we'll see if there are any questions from the gallery.